All right, everybody, you're on my channel again, and we're walking next to some woods. So you know what that means. It's time to walk, and it's time to talk. And today, it's one of the first days that you can wear shorts and a t-shirt in Michigan, at least this south. It's probably still pretty cold a little further up north. We're currently walking along the banks of the not the Wabash, but the Galeen River in southwestern Michigan. You might hear a lot of traffic noises because I'm literally walking right next to Interstate 94. If you look in the dirt, you can actually see some deer tracks. Now, there's only like one other car here, and I haven't seen them. I think they're like disc golfing and stuff. So we'll just kind of do a quick little walk around tour and talk what we're going to talk about. I also am trying to work on my camera angles a little more. I'm noticing when I kind of scroll through these for quality control purposes that you're looking at me like this half the time, and I just really hate that. It hurts my shoulders sometimes to hold the camera up this long, I'm not gonna lie. I need to work on my shoulders more. I think that's what I gotta do. Anyways, let's talk about something. I'm 29 years old, you know? I am 29 years old. I'll be 30 years old in November. And if there's anything I've learned about life, it's honestly that people don't know what the hell they are or who the hell they are at most given times. At least when you're young, and even sometimes when you're older, you know. I see it a lot. You know, of course, I've only ever lived in one timeline. And if I've ever lived a past life, of course, I can't recall it. So I can't be like, well, you know, back when, you know, because I grew up with social media, and I would like to think that my theory is that social media kind of perpetuates this type of behavior. But, you know, of course, all I can really go off of is anecdotes from family members and old coworkers and maybe older people that I just know, and yeah, just kind of take their word for it, I guess. But I honestly feel like the social media era is kind of ruined. God, I hate people. Social media is kind of it seemed to make people more concerned with how they appear to people than how their character is actually, in quality. You know, and I had the misfortune of kind of growing up in that age and kind of buying into that idea that, you know, you kind of just make the reality, and that's true. But the thing about the internet is it's, at the end of the day, it's not real. You know, not to be grim about it, but, you know, a country could drop an EMP tomorrow, and what the fuck are you gonna do when you can't log on to the internet, you know? So I'm not saying it's bad to use the internet by any means, but I do think it might be worthwhile to maybe approach the way in which we are using it, because it's just unstable right now. You know, we put up with Facebook for years, harvesting our data. Then they started giving us targeted ads You know, and then they start just giving you ads for shit you don't even want to see, and so on and so forth. It's like, oh, buy this, buy that, you know, I don't want this shit. And like, I don't want it even more now because I know this is like tailored to me because I watched videos on fucking one subject for one night. And now I log into YouTube and my fucking algorithm is like, you know, fucking the whole topic, just the whole thing is just like, here's like 3 videos of animals and this obscure topic you were talking about last night. It makes me not even interested in it anymore. It's like, why are you trying to like shovel this in my fucking face, you fucking prick? That's how I feel, you know, like nothing's random anymore. Everything's tailored to make sure that you stay hooked onto a screen for as long as you fucking can, and it's really the saddest thing ever. You know, I have a friend that lives overseas, and he was talking to me like, bro, like, I go out and I leave my house, like my phone at home, and I'm like, holy shit, you know. Part of me was like, that is the most liberating thing a human's told me in the past 10 years. And the other half of me was like, oh my God, what if you got in the car crash? Who are you going to call? You know, and it's like, that's how like ingrained technology's gotten into us like the last 30 years. I mean, yeah, I guess there were cell phones and shit, but you know, it was like a big fucking brick, you know, there wasn't Facebook and all this shit. And now to make things worse, like forever, the internet is a place where people can be whoever they want to be. And I think a lot of that spilled over into real life with like these younger generations that completely grew up with technology, and they don't really understand that the hype means nothing, you know. Projections are just that, you know, they're nothing. They're just big investments of energy into fucking nothing. Because what happens, you know, once the veneer's cracked and you see what it is for what it really is, the illusion's over. And that person either has to be like, yeah, I was bullshitting the whole time and live with that, run away and try it on another person or whatever, you know. And this could be anything. This could be as simple as like latching onto an aesthetic style. This could be something as serious as being a supervisor and like kind of taking advantage of your powers. Or even more serious, like a political official position, and you're a crazy fucking egomaniacal maniac entrusted with pretty serious security protocol, and you are abusing that privilege to say like, oh, I could do whatever I want to you, you know. Here's the thing though, and it's cliche, you know, I get it, it's cliche, and younger people might not really want to hear it, but here's the thing, man, like, I'm 29, I'll be 30 in November, and I probably have said this in the beginning of the video, but, you know, most people don't know what the hell they are or who the hell they are for a long time until they actually want to, like, do the work on it. Because looking and turning the mirror in on yourself, you know, it takes a significant amount of magnitude to be able to do that, and a lot of people just aren't capable. Like I said, they would rather double down on the projections that they cast upon the world around them and the people around them to comfort their mind, you know. And this is why I would say, like, spend less time acting and more time doing, because who really gives a shit what anybody thinks of you at the end of the day? You know, nobody knows your story. You know, I was talking to a coworker last night. I had drinks with him. I was like, yeah, bro, you know, I was a drug addict for 10 years of my life, from like the age of fucking 15 to 25. And he was like, oh shit, man, I would have never guessed, you know, nobody knows what nobody's been through. So like the fact that people try to like project that type of stuff is crazy. There's a drive-by mallard. Why can't I? Oh, there he is. Can you guys see him? And his green head. He's just scuttling away. Hey, mate, you might want to go downstream. You're going upstream, mate. You might want to go downstream, mate. Hey, you're going against the current. You might want to go downstream, bro. Hey, bro, you're going against the current. You might want to go downstream, bro. But anyway, yeah, you know, social media has played into this problem with society where people feel like they could just put on this image. And I feel like a lot of the younger people grew up in this environment and they don't really understand that at the end of the day, like, yeah, that doesn't matter. And at the end of the day, like, it's just not worth, like, trying to be cool when you could just be cool. Don't try to be cool, just be cool, man. That's the big deal. Because people trying to be cool are not cool. People who are cool are just cool. They're just cool, man. Yeah. Because, like, look, you know, everybody has skeletons in their closet. Everybody's got embarrassing things about them, you know. And it's just very telling and very showing that there's been people in this world that have never had to be humbled before, ever in their life. You know, I knew this guy that was like a horrible person. I hated working with him. He was horrible to about just about any social issue you could think of. Phobias, schisms, yeah. And yeah. A lot of slurs. But he tried to like build himself up as like this big bad dude. He's got like all these racks, and he used to buy all these like designer clothes to like, and you know, I knew his sibling, and his sibling's like, yeah, like, he just buys these clothes to like give the impression that he's like this well-dressed dude. He's like, bro, he hasn't washed his sheets in fucking a year almost. He lives fucking dirty as hell. He's like, honestly, man, I don't know how he expects to pull any women with the way that he lives. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And then it's like, you know, at a certain point, I'm like, I stopped looking at him as like this aggressive, annoying, well, hang on. I stopped looking at him like this person in question as like this aggressive person that I should probably like treat with kid gloves and like leave alone mainly. So like they quickly became a person I'm like, there's no reason I should even respect this individual. I mean, like, the shit I've heard is so slimy, so disgusting. There's like almost no redeeming thing about this person, and everything you hear after the next, it just gets worse and worse and worse. And it's like this effect where it's like, bro, like when I start to like see my 20-year-old alcoholic inadequate feeling self inside of you, that same type of rage, that same type of hatred for people, not to say that I was ever like prejudiced against like races and stuff. I've never really been that way just because of my own background, but yeah, I've definitely been like filled with hate and stuff, and I've definitely spit some venom into things, for sure. So I can definitely relate with that part. But you know, once I started imprinting my young alcoholic, inadequate, feeling self onto him. Like, I was like, this guy's a joke. You know, he's got no goals. He eats like shit. He's got a weak constitution. He doesn't even fucking go outside. You know, it's like, who gives a fuck what this loser dork thinks? Who gives a fuck what this other loser dork thinks? This fucking person, like, doesn't even respect him. So, like, what? You gonna try to shit on me to feel big? I'm laughing at you in private. What? You know? And yeah, I mean, that's the thing, you know? Projections are expensive. Projectors aren't expensive, but projections are. Because you have to invest so much time, and you can never get time back. You gotta invest so much time. And while you might get away with these lies, there's always like a hair trigger, and it's random. And once it gets fired, man, well, cat's out of the bag, and you gotta go back to the drawing board, you know? So if there was anything that I'd like anybody to take away from this video today, I think we just got to remember, stop talking about doing it and just do it. Stop acting, more doing. You know what I'm saying? Don't be a projecting pansy. Peace out.